Welcome back. We have finished with the wave equation for the ith orbital and the average energy of that particular orbital. Okay. Now, in order to find out the coefficient of the that wave equation, here we have assumed the certain coefficient a1, a2, a3 up to so on. Okay. So, in order to find out that coefficient, we have to use the one basic method for the solving such equation, which is nothing but the variation treatment. Okay. So in which this variation treatment will have to solve the nth order wave equations. Okay, nth order wave equation. So for this average energy equation, we have to obtain the various secular equations and secular equations. So how will that secular equations will looks like? So secular equations are like having the nature of this type of. So okay, this a1 is h11 minus es11 plus a2 into h12 minus es12. So this is the direct equations we have taken for the derivation purpose. Okay, so we are not going to the detail how we can obtain this n secular equations for a given system. Okay. So for obtaining such system, just like we have to solve this integral. Okay, so for this integral we are having, say, for first orbital we can obtain the integral, the second orbital, third orbital. As such, we have to like extrapolate this integration over the given orbitals. So for nth orbital we will be going to get this various secular equations. Okay, so these secular equations can be put up into the nth order secular determinant, which will be having the nature of this type. Okay, so this h11 minus es11, this is the first term, which is the coefficient of what? A1. The coefficient of A1 is simply put into the that secular determinant as h11 minus es11. Then second coefficient of A2 is h12 minus es12. So all of these equations are representing the contribution of each orbital for the given wave equation. Okay, so once we have tried to like solve the actual problems, we will be like get more clear idea about how this concept has been worked out for the actual system. So here there are the quite different terms are involved, like h11, then s11. So for such system, just like this h11 is nothing but what? H11 is nothing but integration of psi 1, okay, psi 1 into h cap of psi 1 again d tau over the volume element d tau. So this h11 is nothing but the integration of psi 1 h cap of psi 1 d tau. Similarly, if you want to find out the h12, okay, if you want to find out the h12, then what will be the change? The integration of psi 1 into h cap into psi 2 d tau. So these coefficients are representing the overall contribution for the energy for the specific orbital. So if it is containing h11, it is simply psi 1 h cap of psi 1. If it is h12, it is psi 1 h cap of psi 2. So same type of uh, expression can be obtained for the each and every term. Then there is another term which is called as s11, which is overlap integral, which is called as overlap integral, which is what? Having the value of integration of psi 1 into psi 1 d tau. Similarly, if we are having the psi 2 1, suppose, then it will be having what? Psi 2 into psi 1 d tau. Okay, so this is the meaning of this all these terms. Okay, so these terms has been obtained by simply solving this energy equations. So this equation are like quite lengthy, so we are not going into the detail of this obtaining that equation. We have directly taken the solution of that equation and we have just put that into the secular determinant. So in general we can say that this h11 is what, or the hij is the integration of pi into h cap of pj into d tau, and sij is nothing but what? Pi into pj into d tau. Here pi is the ith p orbital of a carbon atom and pj is the carbon that orbital of jth carbon atom. Okay, pz orbitals are involved in the bonding. So all these integrals are over the space are coordinates of the single electron. So the d tau element will be having the value of only one electron volume element. So at this stage we have like introduced some drastic more assumptions, like certain approximation has been involved. So what are that assumptions or the approximation? So all the integral of the type, okay, so all the integral of the type HRR, which are representing what the average energy of electron in an atomic orbital PR, which is assumed to be having the equal value, and this value is assumed to be what? Alpha. Okay, so we have assumed that this HRR or the HSS, anything might be the case. So these HRR values are assumed to be having the same values, because this representing what? The energy of a electron in the p orbital. Okay, energy of a electron in the p orbital in the molecule. So this is assumed to be having the equal values, because all the orbitals that are involved in what? Pz orbital. So electron is present in any of the p orbital, then it will be having the equal values. So this is the one drastic assumption. Then another assumption is that all the integral of the type HRS, representing the energy interaction between the atomic orbitals, say PR and PS, which are in the identical and which are adjacent to each other, then it is having the symbol of beta. And if they are not like directly bonded, then it is said to be the 0. Okay, so H12 or H23 or H34, where this 1 2 2 2 3 3 4 as such, what? These are the directly bonded or the adjacent carbon atoms. So for this we will assume that values of energy is beta, and the rest of the equations in which these carbon atoms are not adjacent or not directly bonded, we will call it as a non-neighbors, and this integral is simply equals to 0. Now the value of alpha and beta, which are assumed to be the experimental values. Okay. Now next is the case of the overlap integral. So for overlap integral of the type SRR, that is S11 or S2, means having the same overlap, which is assumed to be the 1. So overlap integral with respect to same orbital is assumed to be the 1, and the integral of the type SRS, which are like equals to 0. So this is again a one drastic assumption, because the SRS value, which is experimentally observed to be around 0.3 for the adjacent orbitals also. So this has some like contradiction with the experimental value, but this assumption is quite does not produce any substantial change in the conclusion. So in order to have this simplified mathematical procedure, we will assume this assumption to be equals to 0. Okay, so thus for the conjugated linear chain system, the secular determinant equation will changes to what? So here what was the term? So first we are having the H11 minus ES11, but we know that this H11 is what? Alpha, minus S11 is again one value, so we will be getting alpha minus E for this term. Okay, then next term is the H12 minus ES12, but H12 is what? Beta. So H12 is beta minus ES12. S12 is 0. So beta minus 0 is equals to beta. So here we will be having the beta. Now next up to so on we can continue that. Okay. So finally we will get the that secular determinant as alpha minus E, then beta, and these terms are comes out to be 0. Why is it so? Because my first carbon atom, suppose this is the linear chain of carbon atoms, so first, second, third, fourth. Okay, third, fourth. So one is attached to 2 and this 2 is attached to 3. Okay, so if you want to like extend this system, then only the adjacent terms will comes out to be the beta value, and the non-adjacent terms will comes out to be the having 0 value. So here we can see this diagonal element is a constant one, which is nothing but what? The integral of the self orbitals. Okay, self orbitals. So for this we can make a still a simpler assumptions. So for simplification we will put that alpha minus E upon beta, which is equals to x some another variable. Okay, so overall we can get the secular determinant of the type x1 0 0 up to so on. Okay, so this is the general equation. So for specific system we will try to see that how that secular determinant can be obtained. Okay, so this is the general secular determinant, that is here we can have the general assumption like the diagonal element is supposed to be the x. Okay, and the adjacent element around the x is 1. Okay, adjacent element around the x is 1. So here again one another assumption can be made, like there is a mirror image of, like here x is there, so here 1 1, so here, so these mirror images are there. So this determinant reveals some interesting feature, and it is seen that x is appears on the principal diagonal, the number 1 which appears in the position where the indices r and s are corresponds toward the bonded carbon atom, that is H12 H123. Okay, and this r appears to be 0 when they are not directly bonded, that is H13 or H14. So this generalization has enabled us to write the Huckel determinant for the unsaturated carbon hydrocarbon system by looking at the structure of molecule. The determinant which may be constructed easily by the following procedure. Okay, so from here onwards our this actual procedure is begin. So suppose I am having the system of say butadiene. Okay, 1,3-butadiene. So for 1,3-butadiene I am having what, how many carbon atoms are there? So there are 4 carbon atoms are there. So this is how we should proceed for the given problem. So for 1,3-butadiene I am having 4 carbon atoms. So first step is what, to sketch the framework of carbon atom indicating the their attachments. Okay, so you have to just write the skeletal structure of this system. So for 1,3-butadiene we are having the such type of skeletal structure. So I am labeling this carbon as 1, this 2, this 3, and last one is the 4th carbon atom. Okay, now there are total what, how many number of carbon atoms are there? There are total 4 number of carbons are there. So in order to like get this secular determinant, we have to get the determinant of the form 4 by 4. Why is it so? Because the assumption of this HMO theory suggests that the number of equations corresponds to this system will be having the n equations should be there. So n equations means for this 1, this 2, 3 and 4. So 4 equations should be there. So whatever may be the number of carbon atom, that much amount of wave equation you should get. So the wave equation is having the 4 by 4 secular determinant. Okay, now check the determinant is in the symmetric with respect to reflection throughout the principal diagonal axis. So if we have like obtained the secular determinant, we can verify it by using the like principal diagonal axis, and you should get the mirror image. So following example like butadiene and benzene will reveal the how that actual structure and the how that secular determinant can be obtained for the given system. Okay, so for butadiene, now first consider for the butadiene. So for butadiene we should get the 4 by 4 determinant, which is shown in this okay like diagram, and here we can see this along the diagonal you will always get the x. Okay, along the diagonal you will always get the x values. Now this butadiene having the 4 carbon atoms which are linear in nature. Now this determinant, like this term is 1. Why is it so? Because second carbon atom and first carbon atom are directly attached. Okay, so first carbon atom and second carbon atoms are directly attached, so here we will get the 1 value. Again this first carbon atom and this second carbon atom is also attached, so here also we get the value of 1. Okay, now 1 and 3 are attached directly or not? No, they are not directly attached, so this is comes out to be 0 and this is comes out to be 0. Now similar for the second carbon atom, second carbonate is attached to the first carbon atom, yes it is attached. Then it is attached with itself, yes it is attached. Then for third it is attached, yes, it should be 1. And whether second carbon is attached to fourth carbon atom, no, so it should be 0. Now for third carbon atom, third is attached with second and fourth, so diagonally it should be x and adjacent it should be 1 1. And for fourth carbon atom it is directly attached with only 3, so it should be 1 and x for itself. So this is the secular determinant that we will obtain for the 1,3-butadiene system. Similarly for benzene system, benzene is being what? Cyclic system. So cyclic system means what? This C1, C1, C2, C3, C4, C5 and C6. So these are the benzene atom system. Okay. So this benzene atom system is consisting what? 6 carbon atoms. So we should get the 6 by 6 secular determinant. Now along the diagonal we have to write this x x x. So all these are along the diagonal, we will get the constant value of x. Then for the first carbon atom, suppose this is my first carbon atom, so this first carbon atom is attached to what? First carbon is attached to C2 and C6 values. Okay, so this is the second and this is the sixth one. So this C1 should be attached to second and sixth, so here it should become 1 and here it should come 1. Now second carbon atom which is attached to what? Second carbon is attached to with third and first, so for first I will get 1 and for third I should get 1. Similarly for this third carbon atom which is attached to what? 2 and 4, so 2 and 4. Then this fifth carbon atom is attached to what? Fifth carbon atom is attached to the sixth and fourth, so fifth is attached with 4 and 6. And this sixth carbon atom is attached to what? It is attached to 1 and 5, so 1 and 5. So this is how we obtain the secular determinant for the benzene system. Now once we have written the secular determinant for the benzene system, we will get the HMO energy level. So upon expanding the n by n determinant, one would obtain the polynomial of the nth degree in x which has n real roots. So like we have seen in the how we can solve the determinants and all the things. Okay, so for that determinant, for n by n determinant, we will get the n roots. Okay, n roots we can get for the given determinant system. So for such system we will getting certain roots, so we have to obtain that roots, say x1 x2 x3 up to so on. Okay, so there will be the n energy level corresponds to the n Huckel molecular orbitals, each being expressed as the terms in terms of what? Alpha and beta. Since this alpha is representing what? The energy of p electron present in the carbon atom in the molecule, and this energy is like always negative because this will form the stable system. And this beta is representing what? The energy of electron in the bond, which is also a negative. So both these alpha and beta values are negative values. So for the negative roots, this xj which is less than 0, so overall energy which is comes out to be negative. So this energy corresponds to what? Bonding energy levels. And for anti-bonding energy levels, the positive roots are corresponds to the anti-bonding energy levels. And there are the certain cases like propene or cyclopropene. Okay, so or cyclopentadiene. So for such system there are the odd number of carbon atoms are there. So for such system we will getting one root which is having the value of 0, so that root is corresponds to the non-bonding level. Okay, non-bonding energy level. So this is how we will obtain the energy levels of the bonding, anti-bonding and non-bonding energy levels. Now next important thing is the coefficient of the given wave equations. So by inserting the values of this energy E one by one in the n simultaneous equation, so we will be going to obtain the HMO coefficient for A1, A2 up to so on. So to get these absolute values, the one equation which will be used quite drastically is the normalized wave equation. So normalized wave equation is what? psi square d tau is equals to 1. So we get the a1 p1 plus, so we will use the normalization condition, and based upon that normalization condition we will get the coefficient of each wave equation. So we will try to see the this application of this simple pi system, for the given system. Like we are going to see the ethylene, then butadiene and benzene system in detail. Okay, so we will be having the detailed solution of ethylene, benzene and 1,3-butadiene system.